Hey, what's going on, guys? So, whilst I'm in the middle of painting this kit, I thought we could take a look at the exclusive version. This is the Gundam Base limited version of the Entry-Grade La Gundam. Now, a little bit different because this one is basically like if you'd had the Entry-Grade La Gundam and gave it the full weapon set that the Entry-Grade ARC-72 Gundam had, and it's also in this cool blue color. Now, I do want to say a big thank you to Vinny, who actually gifted this kit to me, so big shout out. Thank you for this so much. This is the La Gundam Shisaku Ichigata version. Let's go ahead and check it out here for today's video. All right, so right off the bat there, you can see what I was talking about, how it's just basically the La Gundam. If you only look at this part right here, it's the same Gundam just in like white and blue instead of the red and yellow coloring that it had on the original version, but we have the inclusion of the bazooka, the shield, the beam javelin, for example, weapons from the ARC-782 that were included for the full weapons version of that entry grade kit. Like I said, they're now going to be included with this version of the La Gundam, so very cool. On the side of the box, the same image and titling right there, but over here on the bottom, a little bit of information about this Gundam Base limited edition model, and that's there in Japanese and in English, which is very cool. And here we can see the painted sample build front and back with the bazooka, the shield. I assume we're going to have the beam rifle included in this as well, even though it's not pictured. Right there it is, there it is. And we also have the Gundam hammer included as well, which is very cool, as well as the beam sabers. So a lot of really great stuff. Around here on the other side of the box, here is the unpainted state. The kit just straight up built right out of the box, exactly how that's going to look, and all of our included accessories. Over here, a little bit about the Metaverse series, and with that, let's go ahead and pop open the box. I would assume this would also include the parts for making like the original Gundam's head if you preferred, for example. So we'll see in the review. I'll let you guys know what all we have left over. We should be able to just tell by what we can see on the runners there, but I would assume this should give you probably all the parts to just make the regular ARC-782 in this particular color scheme if you wanted to with this, but we'll see in just a moment. We'll take a quick look here at the instruction manual first, as it's all just in black and white. There's no color or anything with this. We got our parts list right there. There is also going to be a color guide down there at the bottom on the inside. It's not in color, of course, but it is in Japanese and in English. And then all the rest of this is just going to be all of our construction here in black and white. Pretty simple. Obviously, it's an entry grade, so not going to be the most complicated construction. And normally we wouldn't have any foil stickers included with an entry grade kit like this, but we do have a couple of Gundam Base logo stickers included with this since it's the Gundam Base version, so that's cool. And then getting into the runners, we've got SB13 for our clear pink beam saber effect parts. Then we've got runners A1, A2, and A3, and A4 all here, which is basically just making up the A runner, which is made up of 4 different colors. A light kind of off-white there for what would be typically some blue parts on the original kit. What would originally be yellow is now in a very kind of light lavender color over there. The gray parts are still gray, and then what would normally be red is now in this dark navy blue there for parts for the shield, the feet, some parts there for the torso and head as well. Same thing here for runners B1, B2, B3, and B4. Making up the B runner is all of our parts, which would normally be white, in this case in a very light gray off-white color there. This is all the parts for the regular ARC-782, so you will be able to make the full just standard ARC-782 if you want. The C runner here in a medium gray is what would be included with the full weapons version of that kit, and this is giving you the parts for the Hyper Bazooka, the Gundam Hammer, and the Beam Javelin. Unfortunately, the beam effect part for that, not actually a clear part. That's a little bit disappointing. But then runner D being the runner which was new for the La Gundam. So in this case, we have the clear part for the La Gundam's weapon in a clear blue, which is pretty cool. Otherwise, we've got some more off-white, gray, and dark blue here for these parts, and that's it. Let's go ahead and put it together. All right, and here is our La Gundam Shisaku Ichigata all built up here. I will say it does look pretty awesome in this new color scheme. It certainly gives the look of being like a sort of limited exclusive. And I mean, other than that, I mean, it does just look cool in this color scheme. I think the color scheme does fit really well with the design. And not only that, I gotta say, as a fan of the original ARC-782, it will be cool to see this with some of those original ARC-782 weaponry, like the Gundam Hammer, like the Hyper Bazooka. And so this release is a really nice mix of giving you a lot of the classic ARC-782 elements from the kit itself and the weaponry to then all of the new twists to like the color scheme and then the new parts of what makes the La Gundam different. So let's go ahead and check it out. All right, before we get through the rest of the accessories, one thing on the stickers, you can see this one here on the shoulder. I was putting that on there and it looked kind of weird covering up like the white part of the detail, so I did actually cut that, and I think it does actually look pretty cool like this, although of course you don't have to do that. If you do end up getting this kit, I mean, you can just keep it as the full circle. If you wanted to put it like here on the front of the chest, it kind of of like just barely fits and doesn't really look the right size. I think it would have been nice if that sticker was actually a little bit smaller, and that is the smaller of the two, as the other larger one is for here on the front of the RX-72 shield. But anyway, as you can see here, I have it as just the full La Gundam, including the backpack. And we do have the parts there for the La Gundam's weapon, which are the same. That said, the beam effect part is now in this clear dark blue, which does look really cool, and that's very different. So of course, if you did have the original kit and you wanted to give it this blue clear effect part for that, that could certainly be pretty awesome. Otherwise, we do have the original RX-72's backpack here with the beam sabers, and not only that, we do have the two beam saber effect parts here as well, which is certainly not something that you would normally get in a typical entry grade kit, so awesome to have those in here. And then just to bring out the shield here, once again, here's the original RX-72's shield with the handle. That handle does rotate, although you have to take it out and then reposition it to have the handle actually out. This just attaches into the side of the arm or attaches into the backpack. And even on the La Gundam's backpack, you can have the original shield attached into that if you wanted to. But of course, alternatively, we do also have the new shield here as well, which is in gray and dark blue, which certainly is a much different look. I mean, it still has the cross detail on there, but with the cross and the outer parts being all in our dark gray, it's a much darker looking shield, of course, in comparison. Other parts from the original RX-72 are going to include the parts here for the front skirt armor, also the original shoulder parts, which if you did want to keep that shoulder sticker intact as in a complete circle, maybe opt to use the original Gundam shoulder armor. Obviously won't have this kind of same look to it, but you can put that whole sticker on there in an uninhibited and not have to cut it like I did that set. Again, I think cutting it was a pretty cool idea. You have the original knee armor here as well, if you wanted to use that, if you did prefer it. And then lastly, the parts for the original version of the head. The parts for the face are going to be exactly the same. It's just the kind of outer helmet of the head, and the V-fin is what's going to change between the two versions. So you can customize it as you like. For our other weaponry here, we've got the Gundam's beam rifle with the new part for the camera, the La Gundam version of that, but you do have the original version if you prefer just the regular circle version there for the camera. We've got the Gundam hammer, which looks pretty awesome. The chain is fixed, so if you want it in a different pose, that's going to be the only downside to this. That said, I think having it in this kind of fixed pose will make it pretty cool to pose. If you want to put this in the hand, you basically just have to unclip this part right here, pop that up through the hand, and then clip this chain part back on. So this is going to just kind of hang loose, so you will have to kind of pose it accordingly, just so that gravity is not weighing this down in some awkward position. But I will say the Gundam hammer does look pretty cool. You will have a seam line going around the center of that, as it is just two halves put together there, and then each of the spikes, not each of them, not the top spike right there, but all the rest of the spikes are separate parts that add into that. Then we've got the Hyper Bazooka. The handle does move up and down, so getting this up over the shoulder will not be an issue. This does have a seam line on it, as you may expect. Pretty simple in the construction, of course, but is highly detailed here for as simple as it is. That does look very nice. And lastly then is the beam javelin, which very unfortunately has the beam effect part at the end not in clear pink or any kind of clear color, it's just all gray. It's unfortunate, but it is nice to have this as an included accessory here as well. You can of course paint that if you really want to, or just pretend that it's not a beam weapon at all and that it's just a melee weapon, and it still makes for a pretty cool accessory here for the Gundam. Other than that, of course, no changes to the overall details or articulation of the kit. Still a highly articulated kit for its simplicity. That's one of the great things about this line. So let's go ahead and check out some different poses with our myriad of different accessories. And so a lot of reasons to love this kit. Number one would just be the sheer amount of accessories that you have. So you have a lot of options as to which weapons you wanted to use, whether you wanted to use something old, something new. That said, I mean, as far as like new weapons, you really kind of do have a pretty good mix. With the new version of the shield and the beam polearm being its kind of primary new weapons, we have the slightly different camera part there for the beam rifle, just as carryover weapons from the entry-grade La Gundam. But the addition of the RX-72's weapons, the full armor set for that, is very nice and does give us, of course, a lot of different options. And of course, options for just the body itself too. If you did want to mix and match, like say, for example, you're not a big fan of the head, you can use the original RX-72 Gundam head with this one, or you're not a fan of like the knee armor design or something, whatever, any of those optional parts, any of the changes to the design that we have with the La Gundam, you can change it back to the RX-72's design if you want to mix and match those parts. So awesome to have just kind of everything all in one box here with this one. And it's very easy to do too. If you did want to swap any of those parts, I mean, like the shoulder armor or the knee armor, you could just pop those off and pop the new one back on. Very simple. Even the head would be very easy to just kind of remove the face parts down out of the helmet, swap out the helmet part on the top, and even the skirt armor. All you have to do is just pop off the part on the front and then switch that front skirt armor. Very easy to do if you want to mix and match some of the parts for maybe doing some different poses or photography or something like that you might want to do with this one. And all that said, apart from all the different piece options that we have with this, of course, the other appealing point of this release would just be the alternate colors. So if you did like it in this white and blue color scheme, it's certainly a pretty cool color scheme here for the Gundam. So if you did want to have that without having to paint it yourself, of course, because you could of course just paint it by yourself, if you don't feel like painting, this color scheme is cool. And then there's the addition of the Gundam Base stickers that you have for as well. Really would be nice if they would include those as water slides. If they would give you like regular stickers and water slides in the box, I think would be ideal. Unfortunately, without water slides, if you did want those stickers to put on your like exclusive Gunpla, that's of course going to be a nice thing for collectors with this release as well. So a lot to love. Let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for checking out the video. If you want to check out some more Gunpla, you can check the link in the video description to USA Gundam Store. We don't have this particular kit being an exclusive kit, of course, but we've got the Entry-Grade Gundam, the Entry-Grade ARC-782 full weapons version, and more. So check that link in the video description. And as always, guys, thank you so much for all of your support, liking the video, making sure that you're subscribed, and leaving a comment all helps out immensely. So thank you guys for your support. Until next time, hope y'all have a great day. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.